everybody. Welcome to the second lecture on memory, Unit 7A. Today we're going to talk about how we build memories. Now, when we talk about making memories, building memories, we usually talk about it in reference to with one another. So we have great high school memories. We have wonderful childhood memories from the holidays or birthday parties or summer pool parties, things like that. So our brains allow us to build memories from both our life experiences and, for example, learning things in school or learning how to complete a certain task, like making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So today we're going to talk about how we encode that information. We have what's known as a dual track memory. So all that means is that we can process things using effort, known as effortful processing of memories, and we can process things automatically, known as automatic processing. So we're going to take a look at those two ideas through the use of talking about explicit memory and implicit memory. So your explicit memory is also known as your declarative memory. It's one of those terms, those concepts that has two terms or more than one term that describes the same thing. This is your memory of facts and experiences that you can consciously know and declare. So it's everything you learn in school, everything that you've experienced with your friends, your family, your part-time job, your prom, whatever it is. These are things that you can declare as a memory. Your implicit memory are your non-declarative memories. This is retention of independent conscious recollection. So these are memories that are formed and you don't even have to try to form them. So for example, what color the house is 3 doors down from you. You never really tried to remember that, but implicitly you know. You don't really have a conscious recollection of the fact that it is a red house with black shutters. But when someone says to you, what color is the house 3 doors down? You'll go, red house with black shutters. It's your implicit memory. Now, some memories we need to have what's known as effortful processing. These are the memories that require our attention and an actually conscious effort. This is the hard stuff. This is the grunt work. This is your flashcards from your summer vocabulary. This is your SAT prep for your SATs. This is your understanding of certain literature terms, certain math concepts. This is effortful processing. This is processing of memories that requires some attention, some focus, and some conscious effort. Your automatic processing is when you unconsciously encode something that's sort of incidental of space, time, and frequency. This is not well-learned information. This isn't word meanings. This is things like the color of the house 3 doors down. What did you have for breakfast this morning? You didn't have to memorize that you had pancake sausage with syrup smeared all over it, a big plate of home fries with ketchup, or a nice big tall cold glass of chocolate milk. You just know you did. You automatically processed it. What color socks are you wearing today? That's automatic processing. You don't have to memorize, okay, I had black socks on, then I put on my purple shoes, and then now I'm going to get into my green car and drive to school. These are things that you automatically process. You do not have to memorize. So, your dual track memories, your automatic processing and your implicit memories allow for you to sort of be free from time, space, or frequency. In other words, you don't need to take any time to memorize anything. You don't have to give any kind of frequency to that memorization or rehearsal or anything. Space is not an issue, where things are. You just sort of know, again, the color of the house that's 3 doors down from you, where the Hanover Mall is, how to get from your science lab to your psych class. These are things that you just know. They are automatically processed. Now, there's something that we call sensory memory. And this is made up of two types of memories, your iconic memory and your echoic memory. Your iconic memory is a momentary sensory memory of visual stimuli. It's sort of like a photograph or picture image of memory lasting no more than a few tenths of a second. Now, sometimes you have an iconic memory that really stands out for you, and then that iconic memory becomes what we call a flashbulb memory. Takes that image, that split second image, and can turn it into a more long term image. But your iconic memory is that picture image that lasts no more than a few tenths of a second. Your echoic memory is a momentary sensory memory of auditory stimuli, and that if your attention is elsewhere, then sounds and words can still be recalled within 3 or 4 seconds. So you hear something, and then your attention goes somewhere else, and then you can still sort of recall it 3 or 4 seconds later, but then it sort of goes right out the door, right out of your memory. So how do we take this information and how do we store it? We encode it. We take it in and we take it in through our senses, and then we take the information and hopefully it works its way into our short-term memory. But your capacity of your short-term and your working memory isn't indefinite like your long-term memory. You really need to, take some time to get things into that long-term memory. So I think I was telling you earlier this week that the capacity in your short-term memory is 5 to 7, 5 to 9 items that are unrelated in your short-term memory. So it's the magic number is 7, and it's plus or minus 2. So it's somewhere between 5 and 9 that you can remember. Now you can see on this chart here that it is a major rapid decay of information without rehearsal. So like that password that you're trying to get into your, Google account, and you forget that, you don't rehearse that, but then you remember it for that split second to enter it in, it goes right out of your brain without rehearsal. It's a real rapid decay. So there are some strategies that you can use. One of the best strategies is what we call chunking. And, I always talk about this with students, and they think that's a gross word. And it is kind of a gross word because it evokes images of, sort of getting sick. But chunking is a great term. You'll remember it because it is such a vivid image. Chunking means to put information into smaller pieces for easy retrieval. So that's why phone numbers are in chunks. So you've got your 3-digit exchanged, so like 878, and then you have your numbers 5450. That's the number to the Hanover High School. Then we add in the 781, which is the area code, and you've got a relatively easy number to remember. When phones were first made, the numbers could be something crazy like HPS CBK 006, and you'd pick up and you could be on a party line with somebody. You could have the same line, and people could listen in on your phone conversations. They changed that mid-20th century, later on, maybe in the 60s or 70s, where you have your own individual phone line has its own phone number, one line, one number, and it's the numbers that we know today. And your social security numbers, those are in chunks, so you can easily recall those. So chunking really is very helpful, especially when the letters and the words, the numbers don't seem to go together. Another really great processing strategy is mnemonics. Now, you've been using mnemonics since you were in the first grade. My 7-year-old uses mnemonics to remember things. But they include things like visual imagery, the peg word system, which we're going to do in class tomorrow, which is a great activity to help you remember things. The acronym ROY-G-BIV. I bet you all know what that is. Do you know what that is? If you think you know what that is, you're going to go onto your Remind app and you're going to text me what ROY-G-BIV stands for. Do this now, pause me, and text me right away what you think ROY-G-BIV stands for. The first person to give me the correct answer in the correct order will get 5 points extra credit added on to this unit test. And then lastly, mnemonics can also be used for, any kind of thing like math strategies. There's all kinds of mnemonics in math. And I remember thinking, I'm never going to remember these. And you do. The mnemonics really do help. And mnemonics are helpful when they're meaningful to you. So we'll work on some things with mnemonics in the next couple of classes.